One of the old topics that we were covering for a minute here was the Kilmar Abrego Garcia. So I just want to watch this video. I guess he got returned back to the U.S. and more drama ensues. Is this another thing that they're trying to distract us from? Trump and Elon? Maybe.
A major update in an important case. Abrego Garcia has landed in the United States to face justice. On May 21st, a grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee returned a sealed indictment charging Abrego Garcia with alien smuggling and conspiracy to commit alien smuggling in violation of Title 8 U.S.C. 1324. We want to thank President Bukele for agreeing to return Abrego Garcia to the United States. Our government presented El Salvador with an arrest warrant, and they agreed to return him to our country. We're grateful to President Bukele for agreeing to return him to our country to face these very serious charges.
I think this is damage control, don't y'all? Why is this just now being brought up? Not one person brought this up the entire time that they were like, yo, Kilmar was not supposed to be deported, right? But I ain't gonna lie, man. I had a guy, I forget his handle, but he was very strong on he was legally deported, and his argument was very convincing. You know, he had me convinced. Oh shit, there's some questions here. My bad, guys. Just got out of, oh no, this is another one. What stocks do you recommend? I know there are always a risk with stocks, but what are beginner friendly stocks? Nah, that's the wrong way to start. Go take my free course. It's on this channel. Just look up Chris Bossio stock investing course. Go watch that series. It's an 8-part series. That's where you start, bro. I want to teach you how to fish, not give you fish, right? Wally said, hell nah, they definitely not feeling. Yeah, it's completely different. Pets.com is not Microsoft. you know? Sorry, AOL is not Nvidia. AOL was never Nvidia. AOL was maybe AT&T, maybe. But AOL was not Apple. Are you kidding me? Ever. All right, let's get back to this Abrego Garcia thing.
This is what American justice looks like. Upon completion of his sentence, we anticipate he will be returned to his home country of El Salvador. The grand jury found...
You know what this screams? That the guy who was arguing with me, who had me, I was convinced, I'm definitely convinced that he was illegally deported. There was a lot of details there that was missing, and obviously the government hasn't wanted it to be out like that. But I think this is damage control. I think instead of having to say they wrongfully deported him, this is their way of bringing him back because they made a mistake, and now they're gonna pretty much do whatever they can to make themselves look like, you know, they didn't make a mistake, right? Which is unfortunate because it feels like a witch hunt now at this point. You're gonna have to settle with the guy, bring him back, settle with the guy, figure it out, apologize, move on. You messed up. Big time. That's what it sounds like.
That over the past 9 years, Abrego Garcia has played a significant role in an alien smuggling ring. They found this was his full-time job.
What?
Not a contractor. He was a smuggler of humans and children and women. He made over 100 trips, the grand jury found, smuggling people throughout our country. MS-13 members, violent gang terrorist organization members throughout our country. Thousands of illegal aliens were smuggled. This is especially disturbing because Abrego Garcia is also alleged with transporting minor children. The defendant traded the innocence of minor children for profit. There are even more disturbing facts that the grand jury uncovered. It is alleged this defendant is part of the same smuggling ring responsible for the death of more than 50 migrants in 2021 after the tractor trailer overturned in Mexico. This is part of that same ring. The defendant abused undocumented alien females, according to co-conspirators, who were under his control while transporting them throughout our country. This defendant trafficked firearms and narcotics throughout our country on multiple occasions.
Damn,
They were
Wally, you
using
right.
vehicles, SUVs, with added seats in the back, floors that had been ripped out, guns, narcotics, children, women, MS-13 members. That is what the grand jury found. A co-conspirator alleged that the defendant solicited nude photographs and videos of a minor.
What?
A co-conspirator also alleges the defendant played a role in the murder of a rival gang member's mother. These facts demonstrate Abrego Garcia is a danger to our community.
What? If they prove that this is all true, I take back everything that I just said. Number one. Number two, how the hell are they just finding this out? You would think they had a witch hunt out for this guy a long time ago and they would have been found this out.
We want to thank the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, our state and local partners, our acting U.S. Attorney Robert McGuire, and prosecutors from the Joint Task Force Vulcan. Questions?
Attorney General, the traffic stop that we've seen video of from Tennessee, where Abrego Garcia was first identified by the local authorities, at the time, the Homeland Security Department declined to take custody of him. What has happened in between that time and in between the time that the government has been arguing that he was not returnable from El Salvador? What has happened since in this investigation that brought you here?
Yes, the question was in 2021, there was the traffic stop. And what has changed since then? What has changed is Donald Trump is now president of the United States and our borders are again secure. And thanks to the bright light that has been shined on Abrego Garcia, this investigation continued with actually amazing police work. And we were able to track this case and stop this international smuggling ring from continuing.
But these were recently found facts, right?
Yes,
Okay.
recently found facts.
To that point, can you just explain when this investigation was opened? The investigation in Tennessee, can you say when that investigation was opened?
Well, the grand jury indicted on May 21st. This investigation has been ongoing.
This case has been hotly debated here in Washington. In your mind, does this resolve that issue in terms of his deportation? And should this be seen in any way as complying with the judge's order to return him to the U.S. and the Supreme Court ruling that the U.S. government should?
There's a big difference between what the state of play was before the indictment and after the indictment. And so the reason why he is back and was returned was because there's an arrest warrant, which was presented to the government in El Salvador. So there's a big difference there. As far as whether it makes the ongoing litigation in Maryland moot, I would think so, but we don't know that. He just landed today.
Jake, CBS.
I just want to confirm what you said earlier, that you're intending to prosecute him and keep him in an American prison if he's found guilty, and then would remove him after his sentence is over.
Correct. Yes, he will be prosecuted in our country, sentenced in our country if convicted, and then returned after completion of his sentence.
Last one, Sadie, Wall Street Journal.
Okay, I have two. One's on topic, one's off topic. Maybe I misunderstood you, but you were mentioning, that he had some involvement in a murder, or was connected to groups that had, involved with this other smuggling ring. But to be clear, the only charges he's facing right now are the, human smuggling charges. Just that's the one offense. But the other things that you have talked about are not actually in the indictment?
No, co-conspirators allege that, and we were clear to say that. He is charged with, it's not only very serious charges of alien smuggling. And again, there were children involved in that. Human trafficking, not only in our country, but in our world, is very, very real. It's very dangerous. And as you saw recently in Virginia, the arrest we made of the MS-13 member, unrelated to this, We learned at that press conference, that's where they bring young children into our country and they start grooming them at middle school age to become MS-13 full-fledged members, commit violent crimes throughout our country. It is highly organized. It is very dangerous. And they are living throughout our country, but no more, because they are being arrested, they are being prosecuted, and being convicted and deported when appropriate. That's all for today. Thank you.
Meanwhile, in LA, they're protesting ICE right now, and I guess it's crazy right now.
Down on illegal immigration. In Los Angeles today, activists clashing with law enforcement south of downtown Los Angeles in opposition to a possible ICE operation being conducted there. Overnight, as ICE authorities carried out other operations in the city's Chinatown area, protesters crowded the street to prevent immigration agents from leaving after multiple people were detained. Agents in riot gear using tear gas to get the crowd to disperse. LA Mayor Karen Bass saying that neither she nor the LAPD had any idea the raids were going to happen. This immigration crackdown happening as a Salvadorian man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was mistakenly deported from the U.S. to a prison in that country, is now back on American soil. Abrego Garcia appearing in a federal courtroom in Tennessee to face criminal charges. The Justice Department accusing him of transporting undocumented migrants within the U.S. According to the unsealed indictment, some of those who were allegedly transported were members of the violent MS-13 gang. ABC News senior reporter Catherine Falders joins me live now for more. Catherine, these protests not just limited to Los Angeles. We've seen them in the last week or so here in New York, Massachusetts, Minnesota, all in response to this immigration crackdown from the administration. How are these cities and states, especially ones that have sanctuary status, dealing with these operations?
And as you know, these have been happening across the country, but especially in LA and with those cities that have sanctuary status. You saw the LA Mayor Karen Bass come out and call these protests and these raids cruel and chaotic in the city. You see those visuals there of those law enforcement officers deploying tear gas to try and disperse the crowd. It led to law enforcement officials and local officials in California, including the governor, but specifically Mayor Karen Bass getting in a little bit of a spat with federal officials. FBI Director Kash Patel essentially saying what she was saying wasn't true. Now, this comes as the Department of Homeland Security has called for an end to the violence against ICE. They claim, the Department of Homeland Security claims, that ICE officers are facing a 413% increase in assaults when carrying out these arrests. So you will continue likely to see that back and forth, of course, between the local officials on the ground and federal authorities.
Let's talk about Kilmar Abrego Garcia for a moment. His return to the U.S. We are now learning of the abrupt departure of a top federal prosecutor in Tennessee over this case. So what's the latest there, and how does this play into what lawyers for Abrego Garcia are saying about the charges?
Yeah, so the timing of this, Phil, is all very interesting. So, of course, Abrego Garcia was brought back yesterday to the United States, but he was indicted last month on May 21st. So in terms of that abrupt resignation of that top federal prosecutor in Tennessee, I'm told by sources that he resigned just shortly after that indictment. And it was because of federal investigators' decision to bring that indictment. According to sources who I've spoken to, they say that this top federal prosecutor by the name of Ben Schrader, he was the head of the criminal division in this U.S. Attorney's Office, that he believed that the Department of Justice was bringing these charges for political reasons, and he decided to resign because of that. So it will be interesting to see if any of that comes up in federal court as these proceedings play out. Remember, this investigation didn't start until after Kilmar Abrego Garcia was deported from Maryland to El Salvador. So they're using this as a mechanism to get him back, but for an entirely different reason than what we've been talking about the past few months, where that Maryland judge had been asking to get him back. And of course, the Supreme Court said to the government, you need to return him. Well, now they are, but they indicted him to return him.
All right, we'll continue watching it. Catherine Falders. Catherine, thank you.
Interesting stuff. So these people protesting. But what if he's guilty of all that stuff? We still protesting? But they must really feel like he didn't. He's innocent, and this is probably a witch hunt, which is kind of crazy because that was Trump's favorite thing to say, which he wasn't lying. I agree with him. There was a witch hunt on him before he became president again, but it's getting real though. Like, I guess the protests are getting real.